Well, yeah, a little bit stutter-stepped as we start into things, right? Wondering if the highlight of life comes when the daylight we like runs, actually. The nighttime comes back and we go back to sleep. At least the dreams that we have seem to. Thinking we can't amount to the things that we thought we could do. Man. It's the 19th of August, 2025. Metronome Madness, episode 21. My name is Evan Strong. A long list of things I could say is something I got just wasting away unless I do it. Start a movement. Why not? Because one thing I won't do is stop. You know, I see this thing written all over the place and I'm looking at things that are written. It's hard to be the person who never gives up. And I'm not here to back down, I'm not here to give up. I'm here to look up and keep moving forward. Even after a step or two back, I'll just, wake up from my nap and get back on the horse. Right off into the sunset, and I wonder if I've been sitting down a little bit too long, sitting down, or if I set some things down and wondered where they were to have gone when they left. I think sometimes we're just not looking in the right direction, though. We're trying to get home by looking at how to get there rather than where we've been. And I think oftentimes we forget everything we've been through has turned us into the person we were in the beginning. And really when we are winning is once we uncover the things that were just always there. But we're scared to be a little bit vulnerable, to put some things aside and to stop trying to hide, because that's what we've learned seems to help. But things aren't always what they seem, and we don't always want our dreams if they actually become something that we can achieve and we get them and realize what we've really gotten ourselves into is a deep pit of trouble now, wondering how we're going to dig ourselves out when the thing that we left up at the top of the hole was a shovel. We jumped in a little too quick to something that we couldn't see the bottom of, but, it's a life full of first places. But that's one thing that a lot of people don't do, is take some time to think first, to pray about it, to say, I wonder what would happen if I doubted the outcome of this, the thing that I'm trying to do. Because we don't like to doubt ourselves. And sometimes that's the best thing to do to get our ships to sail. Maybe we have no idea where the wind's going to come from to push us across the waves. But if we stop and say, hey, I can't see how this could work. Well, if we can doubt our own abilities to know everything and to think that we know how things are going to be, then sometimes that'll just let things show us so we can see that things are just what they are. The stars in the sky, the birds that fly, and the things that come and go, and they rise and die, and they dive again back down to the ground, and they're diving in a different place that we don't understand, like the hounds when they're searching in the holes for the things that we don't even know are actually there. We got tools we use for things that we don't know how to do ourselves, and we claim that we do things ourselves and forget to give credit to the things and the people that helped. And a lot of times that's just where all the time goes, is by so slow. A lot of boredom nowadays, A lot of boredom, outraged. People yell about it, sit there and shout, say they want to be let out of the cage that they ironically put themselves into. You're hiding from the truth. Being boxed in is something that you can't be stopping to a degree and in a sense, but if you're innocent and realize you were sent here by God, then that's one thing you can't put in a box. We live in a world of streets, a grid system, 4 walls, things that place us inside of something, we hide, just running. We'd like to say in circles, but really it's from corner to corner, getting stuck in a place, 90 degree. We're trying to breathe, but we don't let ourselves leave these places that we make. We try to make it sound like such a good thing, though. Things that we can build and discover and create, put together. The things that don't weather the storm longer than the things that would have just weathered the storm when the storm came, before we decided to make something to shelter us. It's actually nuts. There's this idea of getting back home. It's all I want to do. And I can get home without going anywhere, really. But just being in a holy place and being not moved. And that's hard. In a world full of this paradoxically stagnant movement. And that's weird, too, because there's not a lot even going on, but a lot of times there's so much happening. And it's all just distracting me. Do you feel the same? Can you relate? Do you understand what I'm trying to say when I talk about fate and how it's just what it is and things end up just ending up? And everything just comes to an end when it's done. And so that's what we say. I'm done. Oh, I'm done. Did you do that? Yeah, I'm done. You're done. I'd rather finish. Complete. 7 times over, I'm sober. At least trying to be. Clear on the things that I'm doing. Not clear on to the next thing, just trying to keep moving. Saying you're done with this one and you're done with that one, just so you can continue to be on the run to something else that you won't finish, but you're done with. Thank you. Next, please. Yeah. Just another step, just another thing to do, another thing to try, just another place to move to. But you're not really moving. If anything better, you're just moving around with the weather. You're just kind of getting tossed around on the waves of life, you know? You're just getting blown around with the shafts in the whirlwind, and you're getting swirled around again in your mind, trying to find the bottom of this pit that you left the shovel at the top of. We're digging holes a lot of the time, 6 feet deep. We're trenching our lives deeper than they would just naturally be. And a lot of things get pretty deep, but, you know, we say it and it is what it is. Still waters are the ones that really run deeply. And the quicker you're moving, a lot of times, you don't get the opportunity to find actually what's down there underneath. You'll just move on to the next thing, just skipping across the surface like a rock across the pond. You won't stop and look around at the ground and try to find out what's going on. It's a beautiful place and there's a lot of things happening, but actually, I didn't really have time to catch it all, to understand what I really saw. I just kind of flew by it, and I thought I was driving, you know, and then when I lost control, I found out I didn't have a remote idea of what was really happening here. And I was trapped in my fear of, what if I actually get into something deeply and I have to sit there and just understand what it actually is? Because that's trapped. As a matter of fact, we're all trapped in this life. And I've talked about it. We'll talk about it. I'm talking about it now again, and I'm down. And then I'm up again, right? The sun and the moon, something that just keeps continuing to do the round and a round and a round and a round. And now, do you think it ever gets tired of doing that? Just being trapped in this cycle that it does? That's not a bad thing to be trapped, actually. Because we're trapped until we get back to He who sent us. The one who spent the time to give us this life and this place that He built for us to understand what it is without standing on stilts, trying to be taller than we are and run faster than we can and longer than we have strength to. And we don't have much strength, dude. But we can all do everything through Christ, who strengthens you and me I and him and the other guy too, and everybody. Dude, you calling on the one to save and you'll be saved. Keeping your feet atop the waves. And that's the thing about it, is a lot of times it's so much easier to say bye than it is to say hi. We'll meet someone new and they'll walk in the room and maybe nobody will say a word to them. But as you're with them for a while, when they walk away, you say, yeah, well, I guess, so I see you later. It's a lot easier sometimes to just say bye to things than it is to say hi. And a lot of times when it comes to really trying to take that deep dive into the depth of our lives, we have to really be okay with saying hi. We got to welcome some things and accept some things and understand that things are just what they are, and everything can bring a different perspective to us and a little bit of a deeper understanding. If we could understand that things don't have to be what we thought they should have been, but they can just be what they are, because that's what they'll be again, even after we try to make them something different. Our perceptions and everything will just stop having an effect on them once they go back to us letting them be what they were in the beginning. And so we take a turn for the worse. And we turn, we go in reverse, and we make a figure 8 or 2, but we're doing it backwards, and now we can't figure out what we ate when we rushed through dinner so quick, and we don't even know if it tasted good, but it was a place to sit and talk with the people around us, and maybe it was a place to drown us in something we could drink to stop, at least to a degree, our minds from all that they think about during the daytime. And then when the nighttime comes, we stop trying to run, like I'm saying. I think that's the big thing, is our dreams sometimes just take a little bit of a break when our sun does as well. We're dialing some things up, but we're not looking in the right direction. The sun doesn't actually take a break. Now let me just distinguish a few things here. S-O-N versus S-U-N. S-U-N, the sun, the thing that you do outside in the fun times of summer, when you're out there on the waves in the ocean, floating across the pool, wherever it is, whatever you tend to do, throwing the frisbee at the park with the dog. This is something that goes away, and that's good when it's gone, because then there's something else that plays the role in the nighttime. The moon comes up and it starts to shine, the reflection of the sun down onto us. And so then we can still do stuff in a different type of light, and we can understand that there's still day even within the night. But one thing that does never leave is the sun, S-O-N. The Son of God, Christ our Savior, Jesus our King, the man who's more than a man, who brings everything that ever was and ever is back into existence before it left, before it came. It never had the opportunity to do either, because it's not something they can move, not something they can leave, and not something that we can fully understand, and in this life, not something that we can achieve. The sun, S-O-N. What are you going to run from, son? And now we're talking about us, the sons of the sun. It's a cycle, isn't it? It gets deeper, doesn't it? When we stop running from it. We look back at the genealogy and realize that it always just keeps going, again and again and again. The world's going to end, and then it doesn't. And then a new generation comes and steps in their place and says the same thing, starts racing faster again. And each generation, it seems to get a little bit worse. And so we can rewind the tape again and stop doing those figure 8s in reverse, but turn it around and search for the right type of life where we have an infinite God named Jesus Christ. And then we can understand that it is one eternal round. And when we do hit the ground, we will always just cycle back up again, like the precipitation. We're just circling things. We're turning purple, it seems, running out of oxygen with these dreams that we're stopping when we don't think that we can achieve them. And I don't care if I can achieve it or not. I don't got some dreams that I've got to try to get to. But that's what happens when the sun goes down. Is everything around us gets a little bit more clear because we can't see as much. Distraction. We're wrapped up in the daytime until the day finds, a little bit of time to have a break. We need to take a break sometimes and stop trying to find the next thing and the next thing and the bigger one and the biggest one. And that's something that's funny to actually hear people say, as if they're the fastest, they're the best, they're the first. The first what? You've had so many people here doing these same things before you did. I think you're the one that's just sitting there trying to kid yourself, kid. We think that we're really doing things for the first time. We think that we're really the ones that can take the credit. And we don't credit God for the things that we get to do through His plan when He placed them in our lives, man. It's kind of crazy, truly. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts when the sun goes down. Because what happens? Does life really change? It's kind of like this idea of someone dying in your life. What happens to yours just because theirs seems to be a little different? And by the way, I don't think that they're missing. And if you don't get it, that's fine. I'm not trying to tell you how it is. But I'm going to tell you how it is because where do you think they went? They're still shining in a different kind of way, just like when the sun goes down, the moon just takes its place. And even in a new moon, when you can't see the thing, there's still the thing there that you can't see. It doesn't leave. But just because we've got some perceptions of things, we can't decide what they mean. And that's one of the biggest things that we got to understand, is that we just don't all the time. We couldn't, we can't. Just a kid, just a human being. How many times am I going to be saying these things, right? So similar, but worded a little bit differently to maybe hit some things in a way that some people could hear that they didn't hear the other time, because there's those that read between the lines, and then those that want me to just hit the point. And there's some points that I'm hitting from all different kinds of angles. And what I like to do is just not get entangled in all the things that can be options. We can be stopping at things and just look at them and say, hey, I don't even think I need to even pay any attention to that at all. At all. And then that's just us now with the problem solved. Just leave it where it is. Leave it as it is. Leave things where they are, kid. And continue to be one. The problem with Peter Pan, man, is he ran out of hope for a childhood. I don't need to be hoping to be a child. But should I just stay a child, then I would. Is that crazy or what? If you stop worrying about it, it just will just and then there's nothing to say. It just goes away. Because it's never there in the first place if you don't put any attention on it. It's just something that's gone if it was never there to begin with. And so the less you know, the more you... Well, I used to say this like this: the more you know, the less you grow. And it's kind of true, ironically. A lot of times we think that we need to see what we can learn and everything that we can get should just get us to a higher place in life. All the knowledge that we can acquire, right? How smart can I be? Well, I don't really care, honestly. I'd rather be diving back into the seat of my car, as far as a car seat for like a little kid, and understand that I'm just this for the whole time I'm on this earth. Regardless of all the experiences that I get along the way, I'm still just the kid who came, just in a different stage of that same thing. And lately I've been understanding this more than ever, because there's no other way that you can enter the kingdom of God besides humbling yourself and being as a little child. And we call people childish, but I'd rather be like a child and be childlike and like the things that children like, and kites and bikes and the simple things in life, And as we get older, we're searching for things, trying so hard to find something that we could call a dream, rather than letting it happen at night. Don't dream while you're awake. Take those moments you've been given to sleep and go somewhere else if you need. But when you're here and you're really here, be here. Wherever you are, be there. They say be there, be square, because not only you'd be around, but God's course is one eternal round. The sun and the moon and the earth. The things that we turn back to. Get it? Cycling back. It's all just a twisted game we're playing. If we can't just let things roll. Just go with the flow, as they say, right? Roll with the punches. And you'll get punched, kid. Pretty hard, a few times at least. It'll just happen. I think that's a good thing, getting beat up by life. At least a little bit. A little bit beat up by life. I think we need to get beat up by life. To understand that it's the hard things and the hard times and the strife that really helps us understand that we need to take the daytime for granted if we're seeking for what's in our dreams, rather than just letting them be. It is kind of crazy, isn't it? Living in a state of innocence. That's different than a state of ignorance, actually. Because Adam and Eve were in a state of not knowing a thing.